Alright, welcome to turn 10. It's part 2 of this battle of the Arinez, the hill of Arinez. And yeah, oh man, I'm pumped to finish this up. This is going to be awesome. So far, I think if you look at the halfway point of the map, it's right here. British have pushed a little bit into it. French are doing a good job of defending their half of the board. You think maybe these French had, when they did their little outflank move, it crossed over the half. I think you need a special order to do that, but if you halfway point of the map is about here, they're still about a foot and a half behind the halfway point. So I'm pretty sure you can do maneuvers up to the halfway point, but and then they need a redeploy or order or something like that. But I'm no expert, so I think. So let's go on with the turn. I think the British are still going to be rolling 6 ADCs. French will be rolling 5. Just a quick rehash, I don't think anyone is faltering right now. Yeah, the British brigade back here did get unfaltered last turn. They can move up now and move into a supporting posture for the Brits going up onto the hill. So at the end of that delightful rolling, the French have 2 ADCs and the British end up with 5. Borderline Chief of Staff material here. I try to go without. I think I'm still using a defensive posture. I might need those for later on. I'm going to try to wing it here. And we'll see how it does. And I never was able to successfully find a picture here back from anyone that had a picture of what the heck's his name? The commanding general, General Laval. I think I accidentally put a picture of General Blake, the Spanish general, on the front of this. When I did a Google search, his name popped up, and I was like, oh, it must be him. But nope. So might be using somebody generic, or might be using his superior officer at the Battle of Vitoria. Quite haven't decided yet. You probably already saw it already in the opening clip for this. So, all right, here we go. We'll start off with British ADC placement, and then we'll flick over to the French. All right, the British are going to put a reroll on General Grant with the cavalry, a reroll on General Kemp with the light division, or light brigade, excuse me. A infantry assault, a reroll, and a glory on power over with the KGL. That's all 5 of theirs. French are just going to do rerolls. They're going to do 1 on the cavalry on General Avi, and then the other one is going to be with General Neuenstein back here. I think General Laval would be getting a little bit concerned, and it's time to get his boys up here to support any kind of break so they don't retreat back to the end of the earth. So he'll move up these 3 battalions to support, which general is this? I always forget this guy. General Morgan. Alright, he's getting hurt a little bit by the guards, not by the guards, the veteran British up here, the 35th, the 28th, and the 4th. And also General Vandeleur is bringing up these 2 large battalions. We'll check which British brigades are active and which are hesitant. Let's do that real quick. For the British, only General Vandeleur with his 2 large veteran battalions go hesitant. The rest of everything else is active. And now let's do the French. Holy cow, the French are all active across the board. French will be rolling 2d6 for initiative. The British with Picton will be rolling 3d6. Laval chokes on his lunch. Picton going for the flask. He wins. Yes, throws 3 4s. 3 ups. He's playing Yahtzee. That's awesome. All right, so the British will have initiative. And yeah, pretty sure I'm going to do a charge right here. The KGL is going to go on in. And boom. That should be good stuff. and of course they're going to get hit again by artillery. I didn't think about that. Oh well, I am not a tactical genius. We're here to have a good time and see some miniatures get blown up, so the KGL is going in hardcore. So once again, 3rd Battalion of the KGL, who is still unformed from last turn. Probably not the best charge. Still early in the morning for me. I got my morning voice on. They're going to go on in, try to push these guys back. The only good thing about pushing the envelope is these guys have fire discipline, so their shot's not going to be the best. But they will get hammered by an inferior volley from these gentlemen, and then get baked down by these canister fire that'll also pass through into the battalion behind them, which is the 4th KGL. Alright, they're up to 6 casualties. But they're unformed, and 6 is going to hurt them a little bit. Now they're going to hit by the artillery fire coming in from that gun. Canister fire. These guys go up to 9 casualties. No bounce through or penetration whenever word is that shrapnel and ball bearings comes flying through here. These gentlemen will have to take a discipline check because it was canister fire. They're going to do 1 less. They're looking for an 8 to pass that. Alright, not a horrible result. They go unformed, but they were already unformed anyway. So now we do the charge phase. The KGL will have 1 support, and the French will also have 1 support. Alright, the British will be rolling... Oh, what did they be rolling? Hang on. Sorry about that. Had a senior moment. British will be rolling, or Germans actually, will be rolling 4d6. French will be rolling 2d6. Taking a lower 2 is tough with 4d6. KGL rolls a 6. The French get a 7. French are going to re-roll, use their 1 re-roll. Their support battalion is going to move in. 1st Battalion, 9th, is going to come to support and try to re-roll that 1 as they rush into combat against the Germans. A perfectly timed counterattack by the 9th Légier, pushing it up to 12. They are up by 6 right now. KGL has no choice but to try to re-roll their 3. The lead unit will withdraw, which is the lead KGL unit. They're going to fall back. They're going to unform the unit behind them. They're also going to take a couple CD damage, and the French will hold the heights. The 3rd Battalion of the KGL ends up back here with 9 casualties unformed. They also informed the 4th Battalion KGL. Now we'll get 1 CD damage for this, and we also, since a glory was involved, General Power is a risk for general roll. Alright, the KGL suffers no more casualties. They stay at 9. Now here's General Power. They knocked the feather off his hat, but he's okay. No damage to him. That's good. He's like, woohoo! Almost had to tell my wife I'm out. Alright, that is the only charge of this turn, I believe. Yes. I thought about a cavalry charge, but there's no one really to get to there. So that'll be it for charging. We'll now go into movement phase. For movement, British General Colville got his unit back online. Now they're a line of retreat of support back here. Continue to move forward to support the attack on the hill of Arinez. British guns move forward. British cavalry move forward. These gentlemen were hesitant. No point moving their skirmishers forward because they've got General Brisbane up in front, who is stationary with his boys. Oh, I forgot. These French, when I come back, are going to do a retreat move and move behind them. They're going to shuffle forward slightly. I think they'll have to make a discipline check to make sure they don't go unformed. French cavalry wheeled a little bit. They are angling to attack the British Light Division, which has moved up onto the hill. All 3 battalions, 2 KGL Lights and the 95th Light, will be firing into the French. This battalion has not fired yet. The guns have already shot, so they're basically get rocked by a KGL Light infantry battalion in line. Also, the gentleman from Baden moved up in the trees along with the Nassau, and they're right there. And the rest of the French stayed static. I debated about moving these guys out of Arinez, but I'm going to go ahead and hold the objective with these gentlemen back here. But pretty cool movement phase. I'm pretty stoked to get some pictures. And yeah, we're moving into the, it's the second half of the battle. We're really moving into the second half of the battle, because now it's the British have arrived. They've concentrated at the base of the hill, already starting to move onto it. They've already taken the ridge over here, and continue to try to push for the objective for the second half of this battle. Here's that discipline check for that French battalion as these gentlemen pass through them. Alright, so they are marked with so they passed their discipline check because they were in 9 inches of these gentlemen, so they stay formed. These guys are marked with a retreat tab, but it doesn't count towards the unit faltering. They have 10 casualties. They have fallen back to the second line, but now they're going to get shot in the back by basically 95th Rifles. Wasn't much of a choice, though. They're just waiting for the cavalry to come in and support them. Alright, time for skirmish fire, which is going to be a whole lot of British stuff. I don't think the French have any skirmish shooters left on the front line. They don't. So we're going to get two KGL light battalions over here on the hill, a 95th Rifles combined battalion blasting away. Oh gosh, it's going to stink. Plus the skirmishers from that brigade firing to the rear of these guys with 10 casualties. They might not make it, and that'll be the end of the skirmish shooting. It's the 2nd KGL light. 5 shots for being a light battalion. They're basically rifle armed or elite. They'll be firing into this artillery with 6 shots. They do 2 casualties to 1st Brigade's artillery. The 6-pounder, the gunners get zapped a little bit. They won't be doing any artillery assault without a case on, which General Laval has no more to offer to anybody. Now we'll do the 2nd KGL light, or actually the 1st KGL light, and the elite 95th blasting away into these gentlemen here. So I'm going to do different colors for both battalions so I can tell them apart. But it's going to be 12 shots going into 2nd Battalion, 24th. They get hammered for 4 casualties, going up to 7. They are now worn, and now we'll get how many bases they got over there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 shots into the rear of those gentlemen with 10 casualties. So 2 more casualties and it's all over. Oh no! 2nd Battalion, 96. They are destroyed. They flee the battlefield with what's left of their unit, leaving a lot of casualties behind. General Morgan's brigade falters. No bueno. Alright, that ends skirmish firing. Now we go into artillery firing, and nothing can shoot. The French gun that could have shot is already shot. British gun's prolonged, and the other French gun is pulled back. Actually, you know what? No, I'll do it next. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not going to do it. I forgot to do it, but I think that if that French gun rotates, it could be, it's at some point be a great firing thing right here. So it's not a bad idea. All right, I just thought of that. That'll be next turn's move. Boom. All right. See if I remember. It'll be exciting. So we go into volley fire. Over there, they've already shot everything they have. Those Germans took part in the charge, so they're not involved. And now we just come on over here. British firing first. The 35th firing straight down the line at the new boys. Welcome to the party. Well-disciplined volley from a veteran line battalion. French battalion suffers 2 casualties. Come up the hill. Now we've got the 4th with 5 casualties. They're not worn yet. Firing into the French 1st Battalion, 88th. They rocked them with 3 casualties, taking them up to 10. Oh, wow. All right, that ends volley fire for the British. These 2 French line battalions will shoot back now. We'll go ahead and do an inferior volley from the 88th, shooting back at the 4th. too much going on for those gentlemen as they lose fire discipline. No casualties onto the 4th. Now we'll get the boys at the bottom of the hill that just joined the combat firing up into the 35th. They put 2 casualties on them, getting them up to 3 casualties. And that'll end turn 10, which is getting awesome. The ridge fight is looking good. It's going back and forth. British are definitely got the advantage with the faltering General Morgan now. French cavalry poised to support with a charge, which is not good. But there is British cavalry right there to support whatever the French do. These guys are supported nicely. These gentlemen now moved up to support the embattled General Morgan, which I think I'm very happy with. I have to remember to just kind of rotate that gun, which will be a prolong, I guess. And if they can get any kind of firing solution over here, that would be phenomenal. There is that 12-inch gap you have to get, but we'll see if we can achieve that. Over here, these lines are still static, but now British have a lot more troops up onto the table as General Kemp's fresh light battalions arrive and begin influencing the battle with lots of rifles. These gentlemen were repulsed, but they are... The plan with basically for General Power was a war of attrition, just kind of banging in. Maybe shooting might be better now. We'll see. And now they got this fresh KGL unit here. And British guns are moving up. And General Colville will continue to move up to support General Power and General Kemp. All right, we'll see you in a minute in turn 10. And by turn 10, I mean turn 11. I'm learning to count. It's amazing. All right, guys. Ciao. Battlefield gets a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in turn 11. Here we go. 6 ADCs for the British and 5 for the French. Let's see who's showing up. Alright, the British are going to go Major Psycho on skirmish tasking. General Kemp receives 4 separate skirmish taskings plus a reroll. Maybe that's a good idea, maybe not. It really depends if the cavalry fails their... the French cavalry fails their, if goes hesitant. So if you do a skirmish tasking, it only affects 1 battalion or 1 skirmish line. So if you do 4 of them, I get all 3 battalions of light infantry plus the skirmish line too. Alright, so that's what they're doing. That's 5 ADCs, which is probably stupid. Scott's going to be like, what are you doing, dude? The French, or General Laval, has joined General Morgan. Is going to do, I believe, stand with me. Let me make sure. Yes, he's going to do stand with me for 2 ADCs. They're automatically going to pass and follow orders. The falter will disappear. That costs 2 CNCs. The other 2, the French do a glory tasking on Avi and a reroll to launch the French cavalry into the light division, or light brigade, excuse me, which will end up scattering at least... some of these guys, because they have to withdraw because they're skirmishers. So it's a lot of what ifs here, and wow. All right, and then you got initiative too on top of everything else for charges. All right, British won initiative last turn. Let's see which one of their battalions or brigades is following orders. Oh, there's a template. What a total bummer. General Power goes hesitant, and also over there, General Neuenstein. Is that him? Hang on. Vandeleur, excuse me. He also goes hesitant. So General Picton be rolling 46 for initiative. Let's see how the French do. There's their template. They only have to roll 4 dice because General Morgan is automatically passing with that stand with me order. Oh, French also struggled. They'll be rolling 46 for initiative. General Macquarie on the front. French right on top of the hill at Arinez. He goes hesitant. And also General Neuenstein back here goes hesitant. But, ugh. All right, let's go ahead and roll for initiative. Yeah, 4 on 4. All right, French win initiative. General Avi is going to charge his cavalry. His target is going to be the 95th. So they're going to force both of these. Well, the skirmish line will withdraw and take a CD and become unformed. The 95th will withdraw and take a CD and fall back. And then the cavalry will be sitting right there. Alright, General Avi and his lancers and his chasseurs à cheval take the ground. The 95th Rifles, along with their skirmish line for Kemp's brigade, fall back to their unformed. We'll do a CD for each of them. We'll do a green dice for the 95th and a red dice for the skirmish line. They both take a casualty, and now we'll get the British cavalry countercharging against these gentlemen. They're going to slam, and the French will counterattack as well. The French had glory for their charge. I believe it'll last the entire turn. So the French will have glory plus lancers and a countercharge. I gotta see if there's a. I can't remember if there is a some kind of check to do the countercharge or if it's automatic. Let me read that real quick. All right, so the countercharge is determined, I guess, from the charge itself. If you get a combat with Elan and stuff. So these gentlemen are going to move forward and slam into the lancers because they're in their front arc. They would have to lead the charge because these guys have a little hill in their way. And they'll zap right into them. Alright, the 10th Hussars charge the French lancers. Oh, wow. What a mess. It's going to be sorry, it's going to be awesome. Alright, let's see how this goes. Both sides have one support. And it should just be an absolute great time. Oh, that just looks awesome. Good luck, gents. We love you, man. Right down the center. That's where you want a cavalry charge to go. This could have a huge impact. Either both of these cavalry brigades will get annihilated, or one of them will just wipe the floor with the other one, and then we're gonna have someone's gonna have cavalry to pardon the pickleball term in their kitchen. Oh, which is gonna be stressful. All right, here we go, baby. And you look across here, going up onto Arinez. Holy cow, awesome. All right, in this charge, I think the only really big advantage is both sides have one support, but the British are riding battle cavalry and the French are riding campaign cavalry. So, yeah, that's going to be a little bit of an advantage for the British. They will get a reroll for that. So each side will be rolling 2d6, and we'll see what happens after that. And there'll be one reroll for the French and 2 rerolls for the British. Alright, now it's 7 for the British, 8 for the French. British are going to send in their other Hussar regiment to see if they can turn the tide. Oh, they stumble in there and make it worse. Their horses crash into their own friends. Oh, now we're just going to have intestinal fortitude because of their battle cavalry versus campaign cavalry. The Brits are going to dig deep, see what they can do here. Call Pop Baffert. Oh my gosh, he might have doped up these horses. They go insano style. British have 11 now. French gonna dig deep themselves, try to use their supporting unit of I think it's chasseurs à cheval to come in there and rescue them, rerolling their 2. Holy cow. French cavalry pull it out. They win by 1. They're going to close the combat. We're going to have a huge swirling cavalry melee in the middle of the battlefield between these two British, 2 British and 2 French cavalry units, just trying to slaughter each other for king and country. Oh. Alright, that melee will conclude at the end of this turn. Now we go on to movement. No other charges. French won initiative. They'll be moving first. Not sure how much movement they got, but they'll see what happens. Also, the Brits moving too. Not a lot of movement. General Colville moved forward a little bit more, like did a wheel, just to be able to cover behind these gentlemen. Guns creeped forward a little bit more. These guys reformed and lost fire discipline, stuff like that. Over there, that unit from Nassau moved up on line for General Neuenstein. The artillery prolonged a little bit to the left if they can shoot in the future. And that's about it. Not the biggest move for either side. And boom, we're going to skirmish shooting. French don't have any skirmishers to fire in this phase. The British, yes please. The two KGL light battalions who remained behind and were driven back with the 95th and their skirmish screen will fire. One will fire into these gentlemen, and one will fire into the artillery. They're both on the skirmish tasking, so we're going to see a lot of bullets. Look at 8 shots from the 2nd Battalion KGL Light into this artillery piece. Big letdown there, just raising them up to one more casualty, up to 5. And now we'll get the 1st KGL Light firing 8 shots into 2nd Battalion 24th. They inflict 2 casualties on those gentlemen, raising them up to 9. Alright, that ends the skirmish firing phase. Go on into artillery. For the French, that gun, there's targets within a foot of who they're going to shoot at, so that's masked. British guns are masked because everything they would shoot at would be up on this hill. They have units within 12 inches of them. These gentlemen will fire canister fire into the KGL. It does 1 casualty because it's inferior blast firing at skirmishers. It is canister, so they're going to take a discipline check, looking for a 6. They get a 9. They love it. No real worries there. All right, that'll end artillery fire. We'll get into volley fire now, and boom, we'll start over here with this French unit. Alright, 1st Battalion, 24th, firing into this KGL battalion. It's going to be a rock-solid volley. They did move because they reformed their fire discipline, so it'll be the middle, a weak volley. Once again, I screwed up the terms there. It's an inferior volley. It does 2 casualties. They're not elite, so it doesn't do any extra stuff to them. So these guys are going up to 5 casualties. Alright, as for 2nd Battalion, 24th, this is going to stink. They're 9, so they're worn. So they go down to an inferior volley. Then they're firing at skirmishers, so it drops down to weak. So it's just going to be 1 CD. That'll have no effect on King's German Legion 1st Light Battalion. Here, French Battalion with 2 casualties, firing up the hill at the 35th. This will be a standard volley. No one's warned yet. Does 2 casualties to the 35th, raising him up to 5 casualties. I totally forgot. I should have considered retreating these guys. They have 10 casualties, and that's on me. Sorry, all you French guys out there. These gentlemen are going to fire a weak volley, an inferior volley. Plus they moved, firing straight ahead because they regained fire discipline last turn. At least they might go out with a bang, not a whimper. They do 2 casualties and a discipline check onto the 4th, taking them up to 7 casualties. And they'll be warned, so they're going to be saving as recruits and reservists. King's Zone will be looking for an 8 on this roll to pass a discipline check. Oh yes, they keep it together. Alright, we'll start there. The King's Zone, they're warned. They're going to fire an inferior volley back at those Frenchmen, but it will be well disciplined. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot. When they do that CNC command, I think some of the units get they get healed a little bit. So that would have been enough to kill them. Let me read that rule again for Stand With Me. So 1st Battalion 88th gets saved on a technicality. They would have been 12, but they got 1 back. So they only go up to 11. They would have been at 9 when they got shot. So, woof. Hopefully, I'll remember to do a retreat move in the next... if I don't, I'm going to have to smack myself. These guys had 2 casualties. They go back to 1. And up to 3 battalions in the brigade can get back of casualty. But the last battalion in the brigade, the 2nd Battalion 88th, did not have any casualties. So just these 2 line battalions gained 1 back. Thought I was going to have to deploy the faltering, but they somehow saved by technicality, as I said earlier. Alright, the 35th. Going to fire a well-disciplined volley down the hill at those gentlemen that look slightly rejuvenated after that Stand With Me. Those boys suffer 4 casualties and go up to 5. They take a discipline check, but it will they'll need a 7 to pass that. They do not pass that, and they go unformed. Oh boy. Alright. We'll go over the other side, and we just have the 1 KGL battalion as the last volley fire of this turn. Alright, the 4th KGL. They did reform, so they moved, but they're going to fire a well-disciplined volley up the hill at these Frenchmen. They hit him for 2 casualties, raising them to 6. They are now worn. Alright, last combat will be the French Lancers against the British Hussars in hand-to-hand. And if it goes cool, we'll get both. I think you can have second turns in cavalry battles, so which is awesome. Hopefully it goes to that. It's an even combat. There is no Elan. I did forget the Lancers will get will get glory from their from General Lavie being part of the battle. All right, it's gonna be close. Just the glory gives the French a slight advantage. Oh, I know the uphill thing might do something too. Let me see that. Yeah, I think there should be that. You don't get to use that rule a lot. All right, the British are going uphill. French coming down. So the French will get, I think 7 versus 5. An absolute savage hand-to-hand. The British absolutely do amazing, hitting everything. They inflict 5 more casualties on the Lancers, go up to 6 now. They're going to be worn. The Lancers inflict 4 onto the British, and now it's close enough that we're going to do a second round of combat, and everyone's going to get sucked into the vortex of doom. All right, now you got everybody going at it. People will be stopping and looking at this going, oh my gosh. There's no more hill anymore. These guys will be all intermingled as far as I would consider, just hacking and slashing. The Lancers are going to be worn. Glory will continue to the second round. And now we're just going to get like a bazillion dice as the there's going to be 4 cavalry regiments just chopping away at each other. So everyone would have 5 dice, but the Lancers lose 1 for being worn, but they gain 1 back for glory. So everyone's going to be throwing 5, learn how to speak. And so it's going to be 10 on 10 slaughterama. Get out the veterinarians. These horses are going to be so dead everywhere. What a nightmare. British end up doing 9 casualties to the French. French do 8 back to the British. The 10th Hussars have 8 casualties. They're unformed. The 15th Hussar of the KGL has 4 casualties. They're unformed. The French are pushed back. Both regiments retreat. The Lancers have 11 casualties. The Chasseurs à Cheval have 5 casualties. Now we get a risk to general roll for General Lavie, and his brigade is faltering. The general fights his way out of the swirling melee and gets back with his unit in front of Arinez. They're kind of looking in at the boys inside the garrison, asking them to pass out some band-aids and stuff. They will gain support from them. Got French artillery is now just looking at these horses, who are both regiments are unformed, sitting in the middle of the battlefield, right next to a French infantry battalion that probably needs to form square, or they're going to get destroyed. Oh wow! All right, and that ends turn 11, which is amazing. All right, shoo-wee. What a fight! Okay, we'll see you in a second. That's just absolutely nuts. This game is great. All right, ciao. All right, straight into turn 12. ADC availability for both sides. Once again, British rolling 6, French rolling 5. French end up with 4 ADCs. General Picton and the British and the Germans end up with 6, with the double 6. Or is it more? Hang on. 7. I apologize. Oh, wow. Great job. All right, let's place ADCs. French 4 versus British and German 7. French will place first since they won initiative last turn. General Laval's going to burn his last CNC command and do stand with me and join the cavalry. They'll follow commands. Both cavalry squadrons will gain a... they'll heal back a casualty as boys return that have scampered off after that butt kicking. And just generally just try to save it. And on the other side of the battlefield, and they did, sorry, I got a little excited about that. They're also doing ADC attachments for General Morgan and for General Makire over here. Trying to just keep it together for the front. I still got to figure out the British, but I do know I'm going to do a post of honor, I believe, with General Picton joining the British cavalry. They're probably going to attack into here and just try to cut all this to pieces. So at the end of this, the French will be out of CNC commands, and the British and the Germans will have 1 left. Besides the stand, I think it's post of honor, sorry, the General Picton's going to really just put a lot of investment in his boys. General Power's going to get a brigade attachment. The 2 KGL light battalions up on the front line will both get skirmish taskings plus an ADC reroll. And then up on the hill, General Brisbane will get an ADC reroll too. All right, let's see who's active for the French. Automatically, they'll be rolling for 4 brigades because General Avi will be automatically following commands. Both French supporting brigades of General Raymond and General Neuenstein both go hesitant, kind of struggling as they're seeing their cavalry retreat to the rear. They've got some concerns. They're dreaming of getting back to France or some other country to get out of Spain. They hate it. So far, the French will be rolling 4d6 for initiative. All right, with post of honor, General Grant automatically follows commands, plus his lead unit will gain back a casualty. And then also, blah, 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 they'll get a bonus on initiative. General Picton's so stoked to lead a cavalry charge, he forgets to send orders to General Colville, who just shuts it down back here. Besides that, all the rest of the British and German stuff is active. So British will be rolling 3d6 with a reroll, and the French will be rolling 4d6. Right now it's 6 versus 3, but General Picton gonna use his reroll. Reroll that 1. Oh, with post of honor for the win. British seize the initiative. All right, charges. You know it's coming. Oh, sorry about your luck. Alright, they did not have time to reform, but they do gain a casualty back. And they will charge ahead into these gentlemen here on the hill. We're going to try to form square. I think both of those battalions will try to form square. It's going to be ugly. Alright, and so they're down to 7 casualties. They will be an unformed charge, though. The French cavalry also, they gained their casualties back, 1 each. And they lost their retreat status. They are unformed as well. Alright, the worn 2nd Battalion, 24th. And the 2nd Battalion, 9th Léger, who are, or at least they're Grenadier, they're both going to try to form square in the face of this cavalry charge. Alright, for the 2nd Battalion, 24th, they're going to take 2 demotions going down to that enfant perdu. Save the children, baby, because they are worn and they're getting charged by cavalry. 2nd Battalion, 9th. They're Grenadiers, so they'll go up 1. They have no casualties, but they're being charged, so they'll be they'll save his line. They'll look for a 7. These guys are going to need a 9. The front battalion. I'm going to mark them both with a die, and we can just roll them both at the same time. All right, we got light blue and dark blue. Good luck, gentlemen. 2nd Battalion, 24th becomes unformed. Oh, they take it in line. These the 9th Léger form square, and the cavalry slam into these gentlemen. So the French are going to be worn, unformed, in line against the cavalry charge. The Hussars will be just unformed. All right, the French will be rolling 4d6. The square, I think the square can support them. I don't know. They spent their, I don't know how that works. They spent their, I gotta look at the rules real quick. Yeah, looks like the square can support them, so that's something. But they can't re-roll 1s because they're unformed and they're worn. So they're rolling 46, taking the lower 2. And then the French, the British will be rolling 3d6 because they're unformed. And they have 1 support, and they'll get extra re-rolls because they're formed cavalry versus infantry in line. So they have two re-rolls. And I think the British have to roll 1 more because they're also worn. They also have 7 casualties. So I'm going to roll 1 more dice. Alright, right now the French have a 3, the British have a 6. The French have 1 reroll. They can't reroll the 1, so they're going to reroll the 2. French end up with a 4. British are sitting at 6 right now. They have 2 rerolls left. They're going to use them. They're going to try to go for it. Just trying to use their superior ability being mounted. Doesn't work out well. They just kind of mill around. They get confused. Now here comes the KGL Hussars to try to beat that 1. Right now it's a draw at 4-4. What a joke. The KGL has an impact. The British cavalry are going to have a 7. French one with a 4. So the British cavalry will win by 3 against an infantry in line. So not the huge win the British expected. Now we'll get combat with the lawn, but they will have the post of honor double threat with 2 extra dice. I think you get 2 for the glory attached with that. So it could be still horrific. We shall see if the French infantry can survive this one. But that ends the charge phase, or does it? Yeah, because I was debating about charging with the French cavalry, but I think these guys are in melee now, so that's just a whole different ball game. As far as movement goes, yeah, some of the British units are going to move up, And a lot of unformed guys that weren't unformed during that hand-to-hand are going to reform. 1st Battalion 88th is going to try to retreat to the second line. We'll need a discipline check, 2nd Battalion 88th, to see if they go unformed, because they're in 9 inches of these of the 35th. They fall back. They get the retreat marker on them. They unform this battalion. The 35th's going to, the 4th is going to try to do the same thing and move back and let the 1st Battalion 29th move to the front as they retire to the second line. And we'll get a discipline check too from these gentlemen. And the British show the French how close order drill is done as the King Zone falls back to the second line. They are marked with their retreat tab. The 29th passed their discipline check. They are step right up against the French, who were kind of milling around with some confusion. Also, General Vandeleur brings up 5th Brigade with the large veteran East Essex Battalion, along with the Royal Welsh Fusiliers. They're also a veteran, moving into support up on, this is the ridge. So, boom. Rest of the KGL kind of closed up ranks over there and just going to continue to do musketry. Yeah, it's just going to be ugly. Let's see how it goes. Oh wait, we will. We've done charge phase. There's the movement phase, and now we'll do a skirmish fire phase. 1st KGL light cannot fire because of these guys are actually in hand-to-hand. 2nd KGL with a skirmish tasking will fire. I believe it's 8 shots into this artillery. Just inflicting 1 casualty. They're up to 6 now. They are worn, those French gunners. That's it for skirmish fire, if you believe it. The French gunners who are worn now are going to fire back into the face with a canister into the KGL, but now they're firing at a skirmish target and they're worn, so they're just going to get 1 CD plus the 2 extra CDs for canister fire. The British gunners were hoping the British cavalry would push through and develop a huge hole, and they could have fired right down into the General Neuenstein's brigade back there outside of Arinez. But the swirling melee that continues blocks their artillery, masking them. This French gun, I don't know, there's hand-to-hand right there. And I don't think they can shoot. I really don't. I think it's just too close. Up on the hill, they're within 12 inches. Those guys were within like 3 inches of them as a hand-to-hand right there. That's just, I believe that would just be danger close. If I get that wrong, I'm sorry. They weren't involved in the charge, so they didn't shoot at that. So I just don't think, you can't thread the needle with these guns back in the day, so. That'll end the artillery phase, and now we'll go on to volley fire, which should be pretty significant. Starting down here, I was talking about down here, I'm looking over there. That's typical me. KGL firing at these gentlemen here with a well-disciplined volley. 3 casualties and a discipline check on 1st Battalion 24th, who will be saving as reservists. Boys are up to 9 casualties now. Looking kind of rough up here on the front edge of the hill of Arinez. They go unformed, getting rocked a little bit here. Got to slide across the battlefield. I believe it's the 35th firing downhill at those French. 35th are still 1 casualty away from being worn. They are a veteran unit. 2 more casualties on that French line battalion. They're up to 7 now. They are worn. Now we get the boys that swapped out. We'll get the 29th firing their first volley of the game into the unformed 2nd Battalion 88th. They suffer 3 casualties, and they take a discipline check. Looking for a 7. My bus looking for an 8. They are unformed. Brave Frenchmen keep it together. They're going to fire back at the British. It's going to be one, so it's going to be an inferior volley because of they're unformed. Let's see how they do. 29th suffers 1 casualty. Now we'll get the Warren 1st Battalion 96 firing up the hill with a weak volley against the 35th. Looking to make them Warren too. We're looking for at least 1 casualty. Oh, they do well. They pop them with 2, up to 7 casualties now with the 35th. They are Warren. Now we'll start sliding over to that last French unit before we get into melee. These guys have been holding the hill against all comers, starting to buck a little bit, but they've got the 9th Légière behind them who are just amped to start shooting people. Probably thinking about retiring to a second line here. 1st Battalion 24th, worn and unformed, just 1 die. Ugh, sad. Yep, sadness. They do not inflict a casualty. Oh, bummer. Okay, that's the end of volley fire. Now we just go on to hand with this line unit against the British cavalry. Everybody's unformed, everybody's worn, everybody's just tired of war. Alright, after all the modifiers, British will be throwing 6 dice, the French will be rolling 2. Looking for 4, 5s, and 6s, baby. The British cavalry inflict 3 casualties, which would disperse the unit anyway. French inflict 1 back on these guys, raising them to 8. The British will take the ground. That unit is dispersed and run down like a dog. And basically the British and German cavalry is going to be sitting out there with a hit me sign on it. But they do win. That's where turn 12 ends as we look over the top at General Colville's brigade, still sitting in reserve after taking that beating, trying to take the hill of Arinez. Move on up to the KGL brigade and the light brigade under Kempt as they move towards the crest of the hill of Arinez, trying to get a foothold. British cavalry moving up. British cavalry, or I meant to say British artillery. British cavalry sitting out in nowhere land in the face of a square and in front of French artillery. More French guns here. We get a little breakthrough now that French battalion has been blown to pieces, but you've got to reserve French command here if they can actually pass an order under General Raymond. Also, you've got a little rebirth here of the French cavalry, especially if you lead the attack with the chasseurs à cheval. You can go back in there and get into combat with the quickness. And then General Neuenstein back here supporting his best friend, General Morgan, who's just getting pushed around by superior troops. He's got boys of line and veteran just trying to hold out against veterans and large units, and 1 brigade versus 2. And he's getting pressure from his right, and now he looks over his shoulder and sees British cavalry breaking through the center. He's like, I need some support. We'll see if he gets it. The British have come a long way. If you look back, they've crossed a good 8 or 9 foot of table, which is amazing. And they're up on the ridge. They've almost taken the ridge, starting to get a foothold onto the hill of Arinez and splitting the French in half. So that's how we end turn 12. We'll see in turn 13. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I was planning on going 20 turns because it was originally scheduled for 18, but I used a bigger table. But we'll stay 20 till the end. I'm not sure how much more pounding these guys can take. I could see this maybe make it to 16 or 18. If I want to take my foot off the gas and just go back and put some skirmishers out front, I could probably stall it out, but it feels like we're on the edge of a knife here. Okay. Bammo, you guys are awesome. See you in turn 13. I also forgot to mention, with the loss of that line battalion, General Mocqueret is faltering. So that's one more thing for General Laval to deal with. when we start turn 13. He is also out of CNC commands. He's out of caissons. He's almost out of hopes and dreams. He needs some therapy. All right, see you in a minute. Alright, time for turn 13. See if the British can actually get onto the hill of Arinez. This could be the moment. Alright, let's see what happens. 6 ADCs for the British, 5 for the French. Holy cow, that was the roll of suck. That was terrible. The French get 3 ADCs. The British get 1. British are going to burn their last CNC command and play Chief of Staff. Alright, Picton. Re-rolling 5 ADC rolls plus gaining 2 more. Alright, British end up with 7 ADCs. The French have their 3. Alright, let's see what they... Now the French have at least got to put 2 onto their... Well, at least 1 onto the brigade reroll for Malquerie, but he's going to get 2. So there'll be 1 extra 1. Oh. Alright, he's going to get a brigade... What's it called? I always forget. I forget. Brigade rally order and a reroll just in case he screws it up. And for their last ADC, they're going to put a glory tasking on General Avis. Lance the Chasseurs à Cheval probably at the French. They are just barely in range if they able to get their charge off. British are going to put a reroll on power. They're going to do a forwards infantry assault and a reroll on Kempt. They've got a glory and a reroll on... Oh, they can only put 1 on darn Grant. He's a poor commander. Whoa, because they're going to do a glory on him. And then they'll just put a reroll on Brisbane. Alright, let's see which British brigades are active. Oh man, I'm stressing. Let's go. The British and the Germans hit a home run. Everything is active. Well-placed ADC rerolls and everything else. Okay, everything's trucking. Now French, even more stressful. Let's see how they do. Alright, Malquerie rallies, but he's hesitant. And then, unfortunately, Neuenstein and Morgan both become hesitant for 3 hesitant brigades. So they're going to be rolling 5d6 versus the French, versus the British 2d6 for initiative. Taking the lower 2 dice, that 5d6 of the French, they get a double 1. Rock the house. British get a 6. They win initiative. Charge phase. British KGL Hussars are going to charge in and attack the Lancers. Yeah, baby. Also, General Grant's unit, they're veterans. They're going to reform into line and attack that square. Sure, they'll make it. We need to roll the KGL's forwards bonus for moving. Alright, AH is enough for Kemp's brigade because they get 14. They use their other move. Well, they can move and change formation because they're veteran. So they moved the... Actually, they would have made that very easily. Plus a glories bonus. They went crazy. Alright, the first KGL light goes in against the square with the 9th Léger. The second KGL light kind of moved out. They passed in front of this artillery, so they're going to get hammered with canister. These guys come through after they formed up. They probably won't be bounced through because they'd be firing this direction. And then the KGL cavalry goes in against the Lancers who are already jacked up. But they actually traverse in front of the French guns who are going to basically save in all their love for the British Hussars, and they're going to hammer them with canister. Boom. So let's do a double canister loving. First up, this canister unit. They are worn, but it's going to be an inferior blast. But they're going to get the 2 CDs for canister against these gentlemen. They take a fatigue casualty, go up to 8, but they do inflict 2 casualties with the canister shot against the British, taking them up to 10. Other battery firing into the second KGL as they passed in front of them. They do 2 casualties. Would have done more, but they were worn too, so they're fired a inferior volley or inferior artillery fire. Do 2 more, raising them up to 4. 9th Leger in square, but they are grenadiers, so they're going to be well disciplined. They're going to fire 1 CD plus an extra CD for trying to blast these guys, or sorry, a weak volley plus a CD at the first KGL light coming in. Alright, they pop them for 1 casualty. Alright, let's figure out, and also the British and KGL cavalry, they've never reformed. They've always been charging since they became unformed a couple turns ago. So we're going to get unformed KGL cavalry against formed but really worn out French lancers. The KGL has 4 casualties and the lancers have 10. Alright, the British and KGL will have 2 supports, one because of the unit and one because their cavalry, their horses are better. And the French will get 1 support. Both sides will be rolling 3d6. Alright, right now the KGL and British are up. They're losing by 1. It's 5-6. The KGL are going to use their superior mounts to try to push the envelope here. KGL is up by 3 over the French. We check those. We check those. The graph and see what the French are going to do. But the French have to go for it. They're sending their chasseurs à cheval into support and see if they can make a difference. All right, they're going to close to combat, and I think it's that's it. There's no elan because it's not line versus column, so just going to fight it out at the end of the turn. Okay, here we've just got a square fighting against a superior. We got grenadiers versus veterans, and this could be ugly. The KGL has support too. So the French will get no rerolls. The British will get, the Germans will get 2, 1 for being superior and 1 for having 1 support. Alright, now it's 6 versus 5. The KGL gonna dig in deep, try to reroll their 2, or they have a 1. They're gonna reroll their 1. They're not able to muster any gusto there. Now 2nd Battalion KGL, or 2nd KGL Light, moves in to support against the 9th Leger. And they muff it up. They just run into their own guys. What a disaster. But the KGL will now halt and volley onto the square. They inflict 3 casualties onto the 9th Leger. And that'll end the charge phase. We'll go into movement phase with the British and Germans moving first. Alright, after the movement phase, these gentlemen... Oh yeah, they could reform. I forgot about that. Yeah, they spent their turn reforming. They probably should have spent their turn retreating the 2nd line. Let's do that. The KGL would have moved first. Get marked with a retreat tab. They move through these gentlemen. I got to make a discipline check with them as grenadiers, needing a 6 because of how close they are. I just kind of countered since they did that. These guys moved oblique left. These guys moved oblique right. They came up behind them. These guns have already fired, so that battalion will be able to fire on them. They'll be able to fire on them. We just need to find out if they're unformed. They are not. The 9th Leger is boom. They're awesome. They're ready to draw down, but they will be getting shot first because the British have initiative. No, well, yeah, there are skirmishers. This, as Vandeleur has moved up, he's deployed his skirmishers out there. That was another part of the movement phase. Oh, I didn't even go over the movement phase. My fault. So you've seen this. That was the charge. These gentlemen, they're not. They just changed formation of the line just to kind of support and hold the hill at Arinez. The Swiss and not the Swiss. The oh crap, where are they from? I forgot. Yada yada. The Nassau and the Baden troops. They did not advance towards the enemy. This changed formation, forming a defensive kind of posture here. They're both in line. They're in the middle. Their skirmishers are out front. They're in the trees. They're going to try to take advantage of the cover here. They've also got their other guys still in defense. General Laval has moved back next to Arinez. He's kind of moved into the city. Up here, these gentlemen kind of held position. British held positions here. 35th stayed on line here. These guys moved out on like a oblique move as they're starting to angle to outflank the French down here. But they put their skirmishers there. Those guns did not move. They won't be able to shoot anyway. This is too tight of a shot. And those gentlemen back there moved up 6 inches. So big movement phase. Lots of shooting. Only skirmish firing, which will be next, will be from those 2 bases, firing 4 shots against these gentlemen. You get 1 hit, increasing them to 8. Artillery fire-wise, those guns can't shoot. The French guns have both already shot. It's just too tight, firing down a alleyway into this mess with British units and cavalry everywhere. It's just not going to happen. Everything's within 12 inches of each other. And now we just do volley fire. We'll start off with the 29th, I think. Yeah, the 29th will fire a well-disciplined volley, a veteran volley, straight ahead into these gentlemen. Put 2 casualties on them, raising them up to 5. Next up, we'll get the 35th. They are worn, firing downhill at those gentlemen, so it will be an inferior volley, and but it will get an extra CD, of course. Taking those gentlemen up to 10 casualties now. Oh, it's getting rough. Now we'll get the 6th KGL firing a volley into these artillery. It does 3 casualties on them, taking them to 9. They're 1 away from dispersal. British volley of his turn will be the 4th KGL firing into the 9th Leger. Which puts 3 casualties on those Frenchmen. 9th Leger now firing back. They are grenadiers, so they get an extra. They're disciplined. They cave in the KGL with 4 casualties, taking them up to 9, forcing a discipline check. Whoa, welcome to the real world, baby. Saving as reservists, looking for an 8. They get a 7. They go unformed. Next up, I think we have to go way over yonder to those gentlemen down at the bottom of the hill. They are worn, so they're going to fire an inferior volley up at the 35th. They inflict another casualty on them, raising them to 8 casualties. Final volley of this turn will be from the 2nd Battalion, 88th, in line with 5 casualties, firing ahead into the 29th. Putting 2 casualties on them, raising them to 3. Alright, now we've got the hand-to-hand to finish up turn 13. Both units have glory. The 15th Hussars of the KGL they have 4 casualties going in against the 18th Chasseurs à Cheval. And they have 10 casualties, so ugh. KGL's going to be throwing 6 dice against the French 5. Let's see what happens. Alright, KGL will inflict 2 casualties on the Lancers, which would basically disperse them. The Lancers would do 1 casualty onto the KGL. Normally this would be like a fight on, which we could do. Yeah, which we'll do that. And the Chasseurs à Cheval will join the combat against these 2 units as the Lancers are dispersing. Alright, this is it, baby. Can the Chasseurs à Cheval take on 2 cavalry units? I'm pretty sure I shouldn't have fought that second round of combat after the Lancers got destroyed, but it was just too much fun. So, just for poops and giggles, we did that. These gentlemen with 8 casualties, they're unformed. I gave them the faltering because they lost their Lancers. They were destroyed, or dispersed, excuse me. Most of them ran off the battlefield. In the second combat, the British Hussars, I think it was the 10th, were destroyed. But I did not give them a falters because that combat might not have happened. But we've got the 19th, or the 15th Hussars of the KGL have retreated back here with General Grant. They're unformed, and I just didn't give them a falter. Just seemed to be a good resolution, just for a little bit of fun. All right, so the cavalry is basically going to be out of the game, I'm pretty sure. You might see the KGL boys again, but maybe not. I wouldn't be too interested after that. It was a charge that'll go down in the annals of time, basically. They went right through the center, all the way to the gates of Arinez, and basically won that. But we're so blown that they won't be ready to fight till for several weeks. And that's a perfect place to end turn 13. Oh wow! So we've got we did the whole flyby with the moving thing. Well, you can see it's the as these gentlemen wrap around. These guys don't have much left in the tank. 2 casualties, they're toast. These guys have 1 left. They're down to 6. These gentlemen now could probably do something now that the cavalry's been wiped out. French cavalry is worthless. Arinez is wide open. Get to it, and these guys are moving a defensive posture up on the hill of Arinez, trying to support Maquire's brigade, which is getting just thrashed. Well, yeah, these guys have got 3 left before they go. Hope those guys hopefully get out of square unless the KGO continues to attack them. Artillery's close to being done. That artillery's 1 away from being done. And but the 9th Leger had a phenomenal volley on the KGL. So we shall see. All right. See you in turn 14. You guys are awesome. Alright, welcome to turn 14, where all the CNC commands have been used. I think only left, I think it's like 1 case on for General Picton. General Laval's got nothing left. All reserves are on the table, and it's getting pretty dang ugly. Alright, let's do ADCs. Just to recap a you forgot from 2 seconds ago, we do have one faltering brigade on the table for the French. And, oh, should be good. Laval ends up with only 2 ADCs, both of which he's going to put on General Lavie to try to keep him from not breaking. It's the brigade rally and the an ADC reroll just in case. Let's see what the I'll take a minute. I got 4 ADCs to deal with the French. Well, British, excuse me. The British are just going to do rerolls on 4 of their brigade commanders. One on Power down here with the KGL. One with Kempt with the Light Brigade. One over there with Brisbane on the Ridge. And then the last one with Vandeleur with the mega double. I don't know what they're not really mega. Those 2 veteran battalions. All right, let's see what happens here. Roll the British first since they won last turn. Everything is active for the British and Germans except for General Colville back here with 2nd Brigade. Just didn't know what to do. Struggle bus. That's alright. Alright, let's go over to the French. And they also have a faltering brigade back there, so that should be entertaining. General Lavie in the rear rallies, default to hesitant, sorry. General Neuenstein, not sure what to do. He also goes hesitant. Yeah, the other 3 French brigades there, sorry I had a moment, are all active, but in trouble. Alright, let's see what it's all going to be about. The 9th Leger trying to hold out and dishing out some damage. I guess this brigade is fresh. I might have to retreat behind them. Alright, let's go for initiative. The French will be rolling the 2 faltering brigades, 4d6. The British rolling 3d6 because they had 1 faltering brigade, taking the lowest dice for each of them. Oh wow, Laval's got a little left in the tank as he seizes the initiative. Barely. Gets a 6 versus the British 5. And yeah. So I don't think there's any charges, so we'll go into movement phase. Alright, time for a little flight around the battlefield. I just moved the cavalry up here to look pretty. They're not going to get involved in the fight anymore. They are donezo. They're just up here watching. General Brisbane, these guys for his boys stayed still. The 35th kind of shifted to the right a little bit as the French wheeled backwards. They made room basically for General Vandeleur, and his boys came in. They filtered in here, and they're going to unload into this poor battalion down here that will probably cease to exist in a few minutes. These guys didn't move. These guys were hesitant. Cavalry kind of reformed back here, but they're basically done for the battle. French pretty much stayed. Oh, these guys are going to come out of square. I forgot about that. Let me do that. And the 95th Rifles turned into skirmish formation, moved around there, and then their skirmishers came up here. So the only thing left to do is put the 9th Leger in line. And yeah, the rest of it's just basically just maximizing firepower. Alright, let me do that real quick. Monkey Ray's brigade also had 2 skirmish bases left, so they just put them out to the left to face the 95th Rifles as well, next to that artillery. And then the 9th Leger formed into line, and it's going to go point blank range with the 1st KGL Light. Oh baby, it's going to be awesome. Alright, speaking of skirmish fire, these 2 bases will unload into the 95th Rifles with 3 shots. They do 2 casualties on those boys, raising them up to... Oh, sorry, do 1 casualty on those guys, raising them up to 2. And there's the review kind of down low of this battle as it gets kind of stupid now. We got British troops intermingling with French everywhere. Nice. That ends the French skirmish firing. Now the British 95th Rifles are going to fire back at the French, but 1 casualty has to go on those French skirmishers. They're going to try to take out the artillery. Skirmishers saved the artillery. They're one away from being dispersed. They're at 9. Those 2 skirmish bases are up to 1 casualty. And that ends the skirmish firing. We'll go on to artillery. British guns cannot shoot. This French gun will fire canister at the 95th Rifles. But it's going to be basically just 1 CD plus 2 extra CDs for canister. They do an extra casualty on them, raising them to 3 now. Oh, no, it isn't under artillery. We got one more blast over here as these gentlemen fire into the KGL battalion in front of them with canister. It will be a inferior artillery shot because they are worn. That's the first 2 casualties for the 6th KGL. Alright, artillery phase comes to an end. We go to volley fire. Start down here with the French. 9th Léger with 3 casualties. Firing into the 4th King's KGL battalion. But these guys have 9. So this could, a good 3 points of damage could break them. That's exactly what they do. The 9th Léger breaks that 4th KGL infantry battalion. They flee. Unfortunately for the 9th Léger, there's another KGL battalion sitting right there in gun range, the 7th KGL, and they're going to unload in a little bit onto them. Alright, next up for the French is the 2nd Battalion, 9th Léger. They're right here. They just came out of square into line, so they have moved. They're going to fire with a disciplined volley, because they're grenadier, into the 1st KGL light battalion. They do 3 casualties to them, raising them to 4. And now we'll slide down to these gentlemen in the trench. They're going to have to split their fire, but their primary target is going to be the 35th. And they are going to fire a weak volley. Not weak, inferior volley. '35th takes the 1 casualty and goes up to 9. And now we get the 2nd Battalion, 88th, firing a volley into the, what are these guys? The 29th. They suffer 1 casualty and go up to 4. Alright, now the 29th is going to fire back at those gentlemen with a well-disciplined veteran volley. 2nd Battalion, 88th is staggered with 4 casualties. They're up to 9 now. They take a discipline check. They get a demotion to recruits and reservists. Let's see if they can do it. Oh yeah, baby, they pass it. Strong work, French, holding strong. Normally I'd fire the 35th first, but I'm going to let these guys shoot their first volley. They are a large battalion. They are veteran. Usually you get an extra CD with a large battalion, but only if you don't move. So they're just going to get a 2 dice plus a CD for being British and being veteran. Oh, they were ready for that. They absolutely destroyed them with 4 casualties. They only had 2 left to give. Ouch. So they're going to cause the brigade of... what's his name? Oh gosh, Morgan to falter, and the 1st Battalion, 96 will disperse. That opens up a big hole in the French line. Oh wow, that's not good. Morgan still has 2 battalions left in his brigade, and an artillery piece, but that's hanging on by a fingernail. Excuse me, can't speak English. It's awesome. Now we'll go up onto the hill of Arinez, where the 1st KGL Light is going to fire into the 9th Léger. That's a good, if you think about it, that's some pretty good matchup right there. Point blank musketry. Well disciplined volley. They put 3 casualties on the 9th Léger, raising them to 6. They are worn now. Now we'll get the regular KGL line battalion, the 8th. They're going to fire and their fire is going to get split between these guys and these guys. These will be their primary target. They only have one hit to take, and they are donezo. Wow. So they rock them with 5 casualties. These gentlemen are blown away, faltering Makire's brigade. The other 4 casualties go on to the 9th Léger 1st Battalion, taking them up to 7. They are now worn, and they'll take the discipline check. Another big hole in the French line. Now the 7th Battalion KGL, they're going to fire into the same battalion here, who see if they can push them towards the end of dispersing them. Holy cow, they take 4 more casualties. They go up to 11. They're 1 away from dispersal. They've got to take a discipline check as a line unit, looking for a 7. Oh, they keep it together somehow. Alright, that ends turn 14, which is a turn of, oh my gosh, just people getting blown away. We lost several battalions that turn, a few more on the edge. We lost artillery. Just huge holes in are opening up in the French line. Oh, God. All right, at the end of the turn, the French have 2 faltering brigades. The British have 1. So that's going to be interesting on the next ADC availability, ADC, see what the heck happens. So, all right, we'll go on to turn 15. Alright, turn 15. This could be it. It's not looking good for the French. They have... Oof. Alright, they got 5 ADCs to roll, and the British has 6. Alright, the French get 1 ADC, which means one of these brigades is automatically going to get a s'occuper. I gotta see which one is devastated the most. Just do a little tactical thought here. A s'occuper, all current retreaters disperse. Any unit with 2 casualties if its dispersal point disperses and the skirmish line disperses. All other brigade units retreat and take 4 CDs. Any artillery left goes low on ammo, and the brigade remains faltering. Alright, let's look around. Alright, if I give it to Makire, he's going to lose. The 1st Battalion, 9th Léger is going to go. These guys could go with the retreating, which would, if 2 of them go, that'll disperse the entire brigade anyway. So let's go look at the other side. If Morgan takes it, he loses that brigade or that battalion. Those guys could go in the run, and the artillery would go too. Oh, well, it's bad for both. Since the hill is the primary objective, we're going to have to give the automatic s'occuper to these gentlemen over here, and let's see what disperses. Alright, General Morgan, his entire brigade disperses. Ouch. They s'occuper out of there. There was 1 battalion, one battalion left of his basically 4 line battalions and 1 artillery battery, and it's over half, so they dispersed as well. Wow, Neuenstein's like, oh, I'm on the front line. He's a little bit nervous. He's hesitant too. No, I haven't. That was from last turn. I haven't picked that up yet. All right, so I just gotta look at the scenario rules. I think if they get 2 s'occupers, that could be the game anyway. So we'll just roll out Makire's s'occuper with no reroll, and we got a 50-50. Oh gosh. Oh, we don't have that. Well, actually, we got wavering, and s'occuper. Yeah, British objectives are to dominate this hill of Arinez. Also, that's the strategic objective, the village of Arinez, and or suffer or inflict 2 Sakipes on 2 French brigades. So Maquis has the fate of the French at Arinez in his hands. Let's see what he can do, baby. Alright, he achieves a wavering. Let's see what that does. Dispersals any unit within 2 casualties of its dispersal point. So he's going to lose the 1st Battalion's 9th Léger. All current... retreaters retreat 4... retreaters retreat 4 plus 4 CD casualties. All their units either go unformed plus 2 CD or retreat for 4 CD. Skirmish line on 2 bases recalled, so lose that too. No movement or reforming permitted this turn. But as per hesitant rules, brigade and the brigade remains faltering. Oh gosh! So let's see what happens at the end of this one. We already know that the 1st Battalion's 9th Léger is gone. All right, these units are going to try. These 2 remaining battalions are going to try to retreat behind Raymond's fresh troops to see if they can hold out the very back end of the hill of Arinez. They will take 4 CDs as they retreat. Or fall back is the better term, sorry. Mark them with the light blue unit, those with the dark blue. Unfortunately, these guys already have 9, so if 3 of these hit, they're going to disperse, which will kill the entire brigade anyway. Oh, they take 4. They only had 3 to give, so these guys will keep on running and disperse. They took 2. They'll go up to 8, but they'll keep running as the brigade is destroyed. That'll be basically 2 brigades of the French dispersed, and that's it. That's a victory condition. These guys will hold the line and defend while the other guys are running. Neuenstein's boys will use the village as a screen to fall back. They still have light cavalry on the field, even though it's not in the best condition, but that can also screen. But this battle's over. The British have taken the hill of Arinez on turn 15, and wow, we'll have a follow-up video for this one with the casualties and everything else. But that was a good fight, and I'll give you my impressions too, so I won't talk too much. But thanks a lot. I hope you guys have a great day and a great week coming up. This was awesome. This was part 3 or scenario 3 of David Brown's GDA Vitoria 1813 campaign book. I've got another scenario number 4 coming up at some point, probably after I get back from Historicon. I'm going to go back to painting Prussians, and yeah, this will be just a fun little thing to do on the side. And wow, fantastic. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.